Welcome to a crash course on attribution theory. You might be wondering, what is attribution theory? So let's start with the definition. Attribution theory, a description of the way in which people explain the cause of their own and other people's behavior. There are two components to the attribution theory. There is external attributions and internal attributions. What's the difference? Internal attribution, the inference that a person is behaving in a certain way because of something about the person, such as attitude, character, or personality. External attribution, the inference that a person is behaving a certain way because of something about the situation he or she is in. The assumption is that most people will respond the same way in that situation. Now, how do we apply the attribution theory using these components? Well, we apply them using a two-step attribution process. We immediately begin by observing someone's behavior, and then our mind takes us to step one, in which we make an automatic internal inference about the person's behavior. Once an initial thought is established, we take some time and effortlessly move on to step two, in which we think of possible situations to explain the person's behavior. We then take over possible external attributions and do any adjustments to our initial thought, to only then make a final attribution about a person's behavior. However, many of us are certified in committing the fundamental attribution error. This is the tendency to overestimate the extent to which other people's behavior is due to internal dispositional factors and to underestimate the role of situational factors. In other words, we only consider taking the first step and only using an internal attribution to make the final say about someone's behavior. Hence, we move on to the blue arrow and just make a final attribution just based on the internal attribution. In order to understand this even further, let's see an example. This is Kim and this is Tom. They will help us see this in action. One day, Kim witnessed Tom yelling at a fellow employee, and immediately Kim made an internal attribution about Tom, concluding that Tom was simply a mean one, like the Grinch, not just to her fellow employee, but to everyone, thinking that this is simply who he is. However, Kim has fallen victim of committing the fundamental attribution error, because little does she know that earlier that day, Tom was in a car accident in which his new car was damaged. In addition to that, upon arriving to work, his boss gave him a lecture about the things he didn't like on a project Tom had worked really hard on. Hence, Tom's frustration. On any other day, Tom is as happy as can be and actually one of the nicest persons Kim would ever meet. So in close, remember that there are two parts in attribution theory, internal and external attributions, that we must take into account in order to make a more accurate attribution about someone's behavior. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something.
Created using Powtoon.